Welcome back to Askademic's Basic English course. I am Alex, and today this is a little bonus lesson on extra notes for English style. So, first of all, I want you to know that this lesson is optional, okay? It's not the most important thing that we'll be talking about. This is good for somebody who wants a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a deeper explanation on finer points with English style. So, with that in mind, let's take a look. So, want to remind you all about clarity. Okay, so remember, native English speakers really like when language is clear and when it's specific. Okay, in terms of grammar, this means that the subject, the verb, and the object should all be really clear and easily identified in a sentence. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at a couple of our examples here. So, sentence 1, John read the story. Okay, so can we tell what our subject is? Take a second to think about it. All right, subject is John, okay? Think about our verb. Verb is read, right? Last but not least, think about what is the object in our sentence. The object is the story, okay? So again, we have John who is reading the story. Okay, everything's super clear, easily identified, it's there. Okay? Now, let's take a look at our second example. And I'm going to go a little bit out of order here just to help show you what's going on. So, what is the verb of this sentence? The verb was cleaned. Okay? Was cleaned, so this is a past tense action that happened. Okay? Cleaning was happening. Okay? Good. Now, what is the object of this sentence? All right? In other words, what is being cleaned? I'll give you a little hint there. What's being cleaned is the apartment. Okay? So, the cleaning is going on, the apartment is the thing being cleaned. So far, so good. Okay. Now, this is the tricky one. What is the subject of this sentence? Alright, so, tricky thing is, we do not see the subject in this sentence. So, the apartment was cleaned, but cleaned by whom? We don't know, okay? Now, this kind of breaks some of the rules that we were just talking about, okay? Remember, we like clarity, so when we don't see who is actually doing this, well, that's not so good, right? That's confusing for us, all right? So let's see what this is called. All right, so we have two different voices that we can use in sentences, okay? Two different voices we commonly use. So, on one hand, we have the active voice. This is most common, okay? Most English sentences use this. And this is when the information is really clear and direct. And so, the active voice means that we have the subject of the sentence, and it is acting directly on the object of the sentence. So again, we have subject, verb, object, very clear, simple sentence. So another example down here, I, the verb, I, the subject, ate, that's our verb. What are they eating? The object, the apple. Okay, I ate an apple. We have a subject acting upon a verb. All right, now let's look at the passive voice. The passive voice is basically going to be the reverse. So we have a subject and something is acting upon it, okay? We have an object that is being acted upon. Now, the problem is that we don't know what is doing this action, okay? This information is basically unclear and indirect. Now, a really great example of where you see this is in some history writing sometimes. So we have an example here, England was invaded. Okay, we know that England is our object here. We know that to invade is the verb. But who is doing the invading? Is it France invading England? Is it Mars? Is it Canada? We don't know, okay? All we know is that England is being invaded, okay? You'd think you might want to know who is doing that, okay? So really important. And on that note, so, the active voice is preferable, okay? Most of the time we want to use the active voice. However, there are some cases where we might want to use the passive voice. I don't want you to worry about that now, though. Okay, this is pretty advanced. That will come later. But just know that in general, active voice, 9 times out of 10 is going to be preferred. Okay, certainly more clear. So, we have a little activity here, a little exercise. I want you to pull out your journal, and I want you to write these sentences down and try to decide for each one, is this an active sentence, is it active voice, or is it passive voice? Okay, so pause the video, write this in your journal, and try to decide which is which. Okay, and let's get started again. I'll flip to the answers in 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. So peace was declared. That is passive. We don't know who is declaring peace. Okay, a fire destroyed the farm. That is active. This is a good reminder that this doesn't have to be human things as the subject who are acting. We have a fire that is destroying the farm. Okay, so a non-human thing doing an action. Totally okay. The king was given a gift. Okay, passive. Who is giving this gift? We don't see it. Mistakes were made. I love this one. Who made the mistake? Don't know. Don't see it. Okay? All we know is that we have the verb to make and we have the object, mistakes. Okay, so mistakes were made. The doctor will give you instructions. We have the future tense here. Okay, but that doesn't matter. Still active. This one is a little tricky. If you got this one right, then you should be really proud, okay? Brazil receives millions of visitors a year. So, this is active, all right? Even though this idea of receiving, it doesn't seem like an active thing to do. But that doesn't matter, okay? Because it's still a verb that is directly linking our subject and our object here, okay? So, Brazil receives visitors, okay? Active voice. Then lastly, Brad collected the money. All right, clear active voice there. We have Brad. What is he doing? He's collecting. What is he collecting? The money. Okay. Is that enough grammar for you yet? I know this can be a little tricky, but if you get this right, it's really going to help your writing. So, that leads us to our journal question for this lesson. Are you active or passive? All right. I want you to write a paragraph about the history of your town, your city, or your country. Now, after you write 2 or 3 paragraphs about this prompt, I want you to see if you can rewrite one of your sentences and change it from active voice to passive voice. Okay? This is challenging, but give it a try. All right? And when you make the change, I want you to see if you lose any information. Okay? What becomes unclear? What becomes lost when you change it? Okay? Hopefully this will give you an understanding of why it's good to have really clear, active sentences in English. Okay? Thank you for sticking with me. I know this was a little bit of a challenging lesson. Good job sticking with it, and I will see you next lesson.